She just understood us, she let us be silly. She let us be loud, and then we would get it out. And then she's like, okay, now let's focus. Middle school is an interesting time. I'm not a scientist, but there's data that talks about like the neuroplasticity of the brain and how those kids are kind of rewiring themselves. It's a time when even though they act like they're completely disconnected, they're actually primed to learn.
This is Arts Educators Save the World, where successful artists and their mentors talk about how arts education transformed their lives. Hey! Welcome back to Arts Educators Save the World, a podcast where artists and their mentors talk about the impact of arts education on both their lives. Today, we have two artists with one mentor, a 2-for-1, which resulted in a really incredible conversation about the ecology of arts education in which they all grew up. This is a trio of folks from the great city of Baltimore who have known each other since the artists themselves were 6th graders, and their mentor at the time was, I think they said, 23 years old. So these are 3 people who grew up together. I learned a ton about the city of Baltimore. I learned even more about what it means to grow up in an arts ecology that is intertwined to provide the kinds of opportunities for young artists that they need to be successful. And the cherry on the Arts Educators Save the World Sunday, this is a middle school teacher, a space that we don't often talk about. We spend a lot of time thinking about how our earliest teachers have influenced us, and we spend a lot of time thinking about how those who've shaped our professional career guided us into the work that we do. But this middle school space, this is a whole other ballgame, and I can't wait for you to hear what this dream team has to say. Adena Varner is a force in arts education across the United States. A self-described theater maker and storyteller, Adena currently serves as the Director of Arts Engagement for the Old Globe Theater in San Diego, where I first met her. But this is not her first arts education rodeo. Before finding her home in beautiful sunny California, she was Director of Learning and Community Engagement at St. Louis Repertory Theater. And before that, she had the privilege of working for the theater that raised her as the Director of Learning and Social Accountability at Baltimore Center Stage. Adena is a playwright, producer, director, performer, and educator committed to advocating for equity and diversity in the arts and increasing access to art for all children. And for me, having Adena on the show would be enough. Dayenu, as we say at the Passover Seder. But Adena comes bearing additional gifts. When I invited her on the podcast, she told me that we must also bring a second artist, Jonathan Burke, who you can currently catch on Broadway in Cats, the Jellicle Ball. Jonathan is a multi-hyphenate, actor, singer, dancer, writer, producer, appearing on Broadway stages and all across the U.S. and on TV shows, including Harlem and Only Murders in the Building. Like Adena, Jonathan is a Baltimore native and attended both the Baltimore School for the Arts and the Arena Players Incorporated Youth Theater Program, where I'm pretty sure these two powerhouses met. It's an honor to have a son and daughter of Baltimore join me on the podcast. Adena, Jonathan, welcome to Arts Educators Save the World.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica. Wow, listening to all that, I'm like, who are these people she's describing?
Isn't that
That's
fun?
amazing.
That's like one of my favorite things about hosting this podcast is I get to write introductions for people who are typically too humble to write introductions for themselves. So I get to create this opportunity for people to hear how amazing they are reflected back at them.
Bless you.
Which is a nice transition to bringing the real star of our show today into the conversation.
Yes.
Adena, I would love for you to introduce the mentor that we brought with us today.
This is such a gift. And after I introduce her, I will have an opportunity to just write the record real quick to tell you how Jonathan and I originally met, because we met under her tutelage when we were in the 6th grade at Cardinal Sheehan School in Baltimore City. It really is a pleasure, an esteemed honor to introduce to this space Miss Kenyatta Hardison. She is a renowned choir director and educator. She's been an educator for over 30 years. She's a Baltimore native, an alumni of the Baltimore School for the Arts and Morgan State University. She is the founder of Yatta's Performing Arts Academy, which has reared artists that now exist all across the country. And she is one of the most gifted and talented singers and educators that I have ever met. And I'm so grateful that she is our teacher, our mentor. Please welcome Miss Kenyatta Hardison.
Woo! Wow.
Intros also cause crying sometimes. I should have warned you that there's also an unexpected emotional response to hearing the people who raised you tell you how amazing you are.
But yeah, that was wonderful. I didn't go to Morgan though.
Oh. Where did you go? No, you know, your daughter is going to Morgan.
Yes, I go to Catholic. I went to Catholic.
You went to Catholic. That's right.
And I saw that on yours. I was like, she was over at Catholic?
I went there, but you went there for undergrad.
Yes, I was there for undergrad.
I was there for grad. Go Cardinals.
I want to take us back, and I want to start. The question that I normally start with is to have you all reflect on the first time you remember working with one another, whether or not that's the same memory. I have now heard that might be 6th grade, but it might take us back even further. And so how about Jonathan? Why don't we start with you? Can you tell us about the first time you remember working with Miss Kenyatta, and whether that involves Adena or not is okay by me.
Yeah. Well, yes, it was 6th grade at the Cardinal Sheehan School in Baltimore City. And I was new to the school that year. And Miss Hardison was the music and drama teacher. And I already loved music prior to that, singing in choir at church. I did like those church plays, elementary school plays. So I was into acting in the arts, but I didn't understand the depth to which it could actually go and how wide it could spread and how amazing it could really be and how much of a craft it really is until the 6th grade when I met Miss Hardison, and she taught us class for music. And then I joined the drama after school program as well that she led. And that's when I really opened my eyes to the world of the arts. And the biggest memory, though, I remember, like one of the first memories is she was the choir director for the school choir, and she asked me to audition for the choir. So I auditioned for the choir, and when I sang, she was like, "Oh, we do a musical as well. You should audition for this musical that we're doing," which was a musical that she wrote about the famous artist from Motown Records. And she created this musical before Motown, the musical was on Broadway, mind you. Okay. And she said, would you mind auditioning? And so I did. And I ended up getting into the choir, of course, but also into this musical, Motown Spectacular, in which I played Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson and many other people. But it was the Stevie Wonder that really took me out of my body, singing My Cherie Amour. I'll never forget the opening night singing that song, and the audience went crazy after the first 4 measures, the intro. They're screaming, and then by the end it was a standing ovation. And at that point I was like, well, I'm going to be an actor for the rest of my life. So this is all thanks to Kenyatta.
Also, maybe you peaked in the 6th grade.
No, it's been even better since then, babe.
Hey. Kenyatta, do you remember young Jonathan auditioning for your choir in the 6th grade?
Yes, I remember when he actually I saw him in the classroom. It was first in the classroom, and new student, and his energy was good. So you could tell the kids who enjoy music. You You don't have to say, I need you to open your mouth. I need you to participate. He was ready. And so, of course, I'm like, okay, I see a boy over here who looks like he likes to sing. I'm going to ask him about the choir. Because actually at Cardinal Sheen, it was very interesting. Usually people have a hard time getting boys, but for some reason, at Cardinal Sheen, I was able to get them. But I remember Jonathan coming in. And so when I spoke to him, I asked him about it. But then when I heard him, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna get him into the, because we do, we put on the spring production, but I use the students from the drama after school program. So I needed him to get in that, and I was like, okay, oh yeah, we have some. This is gonna be a good year. So that's what happened, Jonathan.
And it was. Oh God, I'm so grateful. I will never forget that moment. And thank you. I wouldn't be here honestly without you having welcomed me in that way and encouraged me in that way.
Same year, I was coming. Oh gosh. So also, before I start talking, I have to say thank you to Jonathan. Jonathan is one of my oldest friends. I love him so much. And we started this journey together. It's a very similar journey. Honestly, I went to a private elementary school before transitioning to middle school. And same thing. I was in the church plays. I remember my first time being in a musical was 5th grade. And Miss Hardison, you might know J.D. Austin. I went to New Psalmist, yep. So that's where I went for New Psalmist Baptist Church had a school. All of this is in Baltimore City. And in the 3rd grade, my teachers figured out that I could sing in the 3rd grade. I didn't know. I was just singing Kirk Franklin in the music class the way that I heard it on the radio. And they figured out that I could sing. And so by the time I got to the 5th grade, Mr. Austin said, hey, we're doing the Christmas musical. I need somebody to be Gabriel because Gabriel's lines are all music. And I was like, well, I'll be Gabriel in the 5th grade. So by the time I got to middle school, I knew I could sing. And that was really it. I didn't have an idea of a career. I just loved to sing. It was fun. Didn't have any formal training. But by the time we got to Cardinal Sheen, I actually remember class. I remember her coming in with her keyboard.
Yeah.
And sitting to the side, and I was excited. I was just like, "Oh, this is fun!" Just got giddy, and I had just had that joy. And she would ask us to sing different melodies, songs that we knew, very easy songs, very familiar songs. And I remember just opening up and singing and not being afraid to sing. And I can just remember connecting with her that first day, just eye contact. Just she looked at me, I looked at her. It was like we had an understanding that we were gonna be close. I knew immediately that I had found my person. And same. She told me about the school play. She told me about drama club. And I was in everything that Miss Hardison was doing. I was in it. Mommy trusted me with Miss Hardison. We might get to the point where we talk about her summer program. Jonathan and I were in her summer programs, Harambe choir. Like whatever Miss Hardison was doing, it didn't matter where it was, what campus it was at. We were there. She was taking us to New York. My first Broadway play was with her. I mean, she was our mother hen.
That's right.
And she nurtured us and loved on us in a really beautiful and profound way.
Amen.
Can we hear a little more? I would love to hear a little more, Kenyatta, about kind of how you built your arts education empire, for lack of a better phrase. Did you train to be a classroom teacher? Was that your first foray into arts education?
No, actually, that just happened to happen my junior year of college. I went to BSA for vocal, but I started late. I started singing in, I think it was 6th grade. So I started very late. I wasn't one of those kids that was like, oh, when I was born, I was singing when I came out. And actually, my mother said, I was like, I remember crying because my mom used to perform at the Arena Players. And
phenomenal performer, her mother.
And there was this little girl named Julia, and she used to sing in my elementary school. And so, and I remember everyone used to talk about, oh, she sounds so good. And I was like, I wish I could sing. And my mom was doing Little Miss Dreamer. That's a musical about Bessie Smith. My mother was Ma Rainey. And they kept talking about this little girl is coming in. This little girl is going to be coming in singing with my mom. And I was like, oh, I can't wait. So, there's one side of you like, oh, it's going to be another kid here in the theater. And oh my goodness, was Julia Graham coming through that door. And I was like, oh, she's going to be on the stage with my mother singing. And in that journey, my mom said it's a gift. Kenyatta, I was very upset that I couldn't sing. I knew all the parts, but Julia ended up not being in the show. And then I had that moment where they auditioned me and I didn't get it. And I was like, Mom, sorry. I was like, I hate you. How come you can't help me sing? You're helping Julia. And she said, Ken, it's a gift. It's a gift. She was like, I don't have any control over that. And so eventually that's how I remember listening to stories of singers who were youth choirs. And they started in the church. And then that's when I asked, could we start a choir? I was like, asked my priest. I went to St. Francis. He was like, sure. And so we started this choir. And I remember the song, you gave me a solo, and I was like, well, I'm not going to sing in front of my mom, because my mom said, she even said I couldn't sing. So I didn't want to. And so that's when I finally had to sing my solo. I'm telling you, it was like the Little Mermaid. I opened my mouth, and it was like God dropped a voice in it. And when I was like, I'm praying, Lord. And the people was like, ooh, you could hear them. They was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, oh, it sounded good. And I kept on singing, and I got a standing ovation. And that was the change of my life. And so that's why I went to BSA. And so I think that those moments, I guess, like some people, I'm a different type of teacher. I feel like kids will never know. And you never know, you might feel like you're not good, but you never know. God might drop a voice. You have a talent, there's a path. But I think with me having that little struggle, it gives me more patience, and I can push. You don't have to be perfect for me, to spot you. Even though they were good. I did get into BSA, study classical. I liked it a little bit, but I was like, this is not me. So I said I wanted to go to college for musical theater. I go to get there for musical theater. And then they started loving me for classical. I was like, oh gosh, this is so confusing here. So I still was kind of feeling a little empty. They asked me to come back with the Archdiocese to do a youth choir that was Harambe. So this was happening while I was in college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
To run the choir while you were in college, yeah?
To form it, right?
Yeah. So because I came home one summer. So when I came home during the summer, I would assist. I was teaching music for a summer camp. So I was teaching, but I still was not connecting that with my career. Because performers, well, when you start talking about teachers, like after you retire, because you want to stay focused. You don't want to go that way. You want to just, let me get up here. I want to perform. If I have to make it with teaching, then it's like the next step, after retirement. But so I never talked about that. I was just trying to make some coins. And so then that's when they asked me about this choir, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I had some kids, and we went to, our first place was in, I don't know if it was in Boston. but it was a convention for Black Catholic youth. I went with the choir. It was with another guy, and he said he would get up and direct, and then I would get up and direct. And the kids were like into it. I was like, oh, okay. They learning something from me. Okay, let's go on. And then near the end, that's when Howard said, we need to continue this. But the guy, he said no, he couldn't deal with it. And I think it was a bit much. I'm telling you, it was like night and day. They would sing with me, and it's like, what is happening here? Like, these kids, they sound good. And so when I went back to school at Jean Carter, I told her I said, I'm not happy. I feel like musical theater is not it. And I was like, maybe it's child psychology. And then she said, I said, let me try it. I went and took the class. I said, oh no, I'm dropping this class. this is not not it. And then that's when my vocal coach said, Kenyatta, you ever think about music education? And I was like, no. And she said, well, that's what you're doing. I said, oh. So when I decided my junior year to change, it seemed like everything started working together for me because my mom really didn't make a lot of money, but now we're talking about adding another year and all that. And so I end up trying out for the American Opera Scholarship. Now, I told you I was trying to stay away from that opera. And then I end up becoming an American Opera Scholar, and they pay for my tuition. So
amazing.
That's when I was like, okay, maybe I'm doing the right thing.
Yes.
It's starting to work together. And I was going to go to grad, and then that's when, so after I graduated, I ended up at Cardinal Sheehan because my mother said, if you're not going to grad school, you need to find a job. So that Sister Mary was at the concert, one of the concerts. She came up and talked to me, but I was still in school. And because she was like, I would love to have a choir at Cardinal Sheehan. And I said, and I was like, but I'm still in school. So, but let me tell you, when my mother had just told me that, and I was sitting there, and I was like, okay, I got to find a job. Because I didn't like commuting, going back and forth to DC. It just wasn't working for me. And the phone rang, and I thought it was a bill collector. And it was like, hello, guys, it's Kenyatta Hardison. And I said, she's not in. And I said, who's calling? And she's like, this is Sister Mary Vandergeest from, I said, oh, wait a minute, hold on. I think I see her coming. Kenyatta.
Kenyatta, please. Oh my gosh.
And that's how it started. She bought me, and she said, I was like, sure, I'll come in. And she said, I want you, whatever you want to do. She said, I'm going to bring you in. She was like, you could do extra classes. That's how I ended up teaching the drama. And she said, I would love to have a choir like Harambe. But my school choir was huge.
Yes.
It was like, I had like 100.
Yes.
I think it was, one year it was like 100 and some kids up there.
Oh,
Yes.
When I came in, all those kids, they just joined the choir. My drama class was ridiculous.
Yes.
You talking about, it was like, I'm telling you, it was almost like 50 some in a class. Yes, I had a class. I was like, okay, wait a minute. Then it was starting growing. I was like, whoa, we got to figure this out.
Yes.
And that's how I think being able to have the productions, I mean, it just, they were good. The kids loved it. When this group came up, it was, wow, there's something here. And that's when we did West Side Story.
Yes.
And that was a difficult piece, but Adena was Maria. You were
I was Tony.
You were Tony.
Jonathan was Tony.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jonathan was Tony. And
Middle school Tony and Maria.
Yes.
In 8th grade.
In 8th grade.
My heart.
They killed it. I mean, I was like, because I don't think they realized I was also growing with them. Because remember, I started late. So I was just like, hey, I'm just going to go on and try these different things and just use all the tools that were instilled with me. And that's all I did. I just gave them my best. And I think in pushing them and giving them that, they were giving it right back to me.
Yeah. So Erica, she was like amazing. She is, when I say well-renowned, like world-renowned choir director. They made it, I was watching this maybe a few years ago. They were on, what was it, like Good Morning America?
Yes.
Yeah, we was on Good Morning America, The View. We was on
The
The View
View.
twice.
Yes.
But
with the middle school choir, and one of my so his name is Heber Brown. He was one of your students, and so during that time, it was like a 2-year tour. They were going around the country singing, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this blessing?
It was crazy. That happened that was 2017. So my mom had just passed. I was still like kind of like, I don't know if I still want to do this. And then I guess God in my mind was like, it's time. Because I think there's a moment, I have been doing it for so long, and then I had so many different principles. So when you get new people, it's almost like you feel like you're starting over. And you have to show them what you have to do, and you got to pray and hope they still love the arts and want to keep the arts in the school. And one day I was like, I just don't feel like they appreciate me. Had that moment. But someone said to me, they said, Kenyatta, God said, you'll reap what you sow, but he never said where you sow. So you have to stop looking for it from certain people. He didn't say it that way. And right after that moment, I'm telling you, it just was like, I put that video up. I was like, what in the world is happening?
It really was incredible. I remember watching from home and like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you and the school and those kids. And I just felt like proud to be a Baltimorean and from your tutelage, and just to see the reaping of all you did. So there was so phenomenal. And I always think about, you mentioned it briefly, but how young you actually were when you were teaching us is kind of crazy, because I think you were like 23 or something like that. Meanwhile, we're like 11. Right. So it's like you're not that much older, but that was what made it kind of amazing for us, I think, because you were very relatable. You didn't seem like some old person that was telling us how to do that. We really could talk to you and come to you and relate to you. And I think that's what made, at least speak for myself, me more excited about working with you and everything, because I just saw myself in you so much. Like in the future, I hoped, to one day be able to sing as good as you one day. I was like, one day.
Boom. They all like, I was finding my niche. It's like finally I got that voice and I became somebody, because, with me being in a school, and I was never, now they're totally different. These kids, they were great academically and with the arts, these two.
Yes.
Because that's when it came up, when this was another interesting story with them two, because both of their parents were not sure about if they were going to go to BSA. And I remember talking to Adena's mom.
BSA, Baltimore School of the Arts. Yes, for listeners. Okay.
I was talking to Adena's mom on the school step, and I remember going to Jonathan's house. I dropped him off, and I was talking to his mom. And, because both of their parents, and I'm not saying that all parents aren't intelligent, but you could tell they were middle class. So they're really looking at the educational part, and they want them to succeed. And they're like, the arts, I do like the arts, but I'm not sure if I want them to fully go into. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm telling you, Baltimore School for the Arts, 99% of them go to school of choice. We have lawyers coming out of there. I'm going on. And they were like, okay, we're going to think about it. And finally, both of their parents did decide. They didn't decide together.
Right.
No. They was like, okay.
After I begged and begged them too as well. We were tag teaming that
Yes.
with Miss Hardison coming there. I was so grateful that you did that because I wanted to go there so badly. I knew that it was my destiny, it was my fate. I had to be there. And so you come into my house. I mean, how many teachers have that relationship with their student where they can come to their home? You know, that
Yes.
shows you how influential she was in my life and how close we were. So I'm
Yes.
so grateful that you did that push.
Yes.
Adena's mom don't remember it as much. I remember saying, she was like, I don't know. I was like, oh yeah.
Well, it's funny because, you know, my mother's almost 70, so she'll remember a lot in this part of her life. But she remembered it then because my parents are divorced, Erica. So my parents are divorced. My father would always come to the shows and he's like, oh, Adena's a singer and it's great. But I'm about to get into all the politics of Baltimore City Public Schools, so I'm gonna try to give you the snippet.
I love that, and I'll say why after you tell the story why I love that, because there's an ecological thing happening in this conversation that is very unique to me from all of the conversations like this that I've had.
Yes.
So tell the story, and then if I may, I want to kind of reflect a little bit
Please.
on that.
My father, like I said, he would come see the shows, and he's like, okay, she can sing, that's cute. When it comes time to make decisions for high school, though, it's really serious. And when you live in Baltimore City, you got 3 choices of good high schools. If you're a girl, you got 3. If you're a boy, you got 2. It's either City, Poly, or Western. Anything else, we're not entertaining it. If you've got the smarts, if you actually have the academic agility and ability, that's where you're going. It's one of those 3. And my grandmother had relationships at Poly, so she was best friends. And even though I lived on the opposite side of town, my grandmother had relationships with the principal at Poly. So she's like, you got to shoe into Poly. You're going to Poly. My older sister, Jonathan's older brothers, went to City, which was closer to home. So I had like social relationships at City. Wasn't going to all-girls school, wasn't going to Western. And so when Miss Hardison is in our ear in 8th grade talking about School for the Arts, I didn't know what it was. It wasn't even on my radar. And when she's talking to my mom, so my mom at that time was literally on the phone advocating for School for the Arts. We didn't know anything about it, but because Miss Hardison said, this is where they need to be, she's on the phone telling my father, this is where Adena is going. And my father's like, no, she's not. No, she's not. She's going to Poly.
Oh, okay.
She's going to Poly. No, she's not.
Now
no, she's not.
Okay.
And, you know, and my spirit is like breaking. I mean, I can literally hear the phone call and my heart is breaking. My mother hangs up on my dad. and she's like, girl, you're going to go to this audition and we're going to see where the Lord takes you, right? And had it not been for Miss Hardison in my mom's ear, speaking a language that she had never heard. She didn't know about BSA. We didn't go downtown that often. BSA was also in an old hotel. It didn't look like a school. It was kind of like this hidden jewel nestled in Mount Vernon. And we didn't know at that time anybody else that was going to the school. And so I'll tell you this, Miss Hardison, my father's best friend was white. He's passed now. He passed from cancer many years ago. And so as my dad was wrestling with this conversation that he and my mom just had, he goes to his best friend and he's like, oh, you know, Adena wants to go to this art school that don't nobody know nothing about. I ain't never heard nothing about. Her mom's tripping. And so Uncle Bruce is what I used to call him. And Uncle Bruce said, well, what's the name of the school? And my father told Uncle Bruce, he said, oh, some School for the Arts downtown Baltimore. I don't want her downtown Baltimore, but catching the bus, you know, all of that. And Uncle Bruce, like I said, Uncle Bruce was a white guy. Uncle Bruce said, what is she auditioning for? My dad said theater. And he said, Black kids don't go to School for the Arts for theater. If she got accepted for theater, that's where she's going. He said that a lot of the Black kids will get accepted for voice, but he said the Black kids don't get accepted for theater. He said, Al, that's my dad's name. He said, Al, that means this girl's got real talent. If you don't get out of her way. He was essentially saying to my father, you are a hindrance right now. You need to get out of her way. If she's got the mentors, the love, the support, that also means she's got the talent. Let her go. And when Uncle Bruce said that, my father called and was like, yeah, girl, go ahead to school for arts. You can go ahead and go. So it was a lot working for me. It was you working for me. I didn't even know. And my mom.
And I didn't know that. So, and that explains it when you're talking about two parents, because when you have this other force on this side and you have your family and your child, it's kind of like, I'm going to stay right here until because she's already know his personality, you know? Let me see. So she's like, but now this makes more sense. So really, she was for the BSA.
Yes.
But it was more she knew what she had to deal with.
That's right.
To try to persuade. So she had to walk on that. I get it.
Yes. Uncle Bruce was my advocate. Uncle Bruce told Dad, he said, hey, if she's gotten in for theater, so there's a whole audition process. And Jonathan and I both auditioned for voice and theater. And I got in for theater. And Uncle Bruce said, hey, if she got in for theater, that means this kid has the chops, because the Black kids don't get in for theater. That, you know, so he was able to kind of speak life to my dad, who was the opposition at that time. So Miss Hardison was working on my mom. Uncle Bruce was working on my dad. and it just kind of created a pathway for me to be able to go and pursue the thing that I love to do at a very early age.
I'm gonna just, for real quick, if it's okay, sort of take the stage for a moment and reflect on a few things that I've heard y'all talk about that I think are incredibly unique and powerful about the relationship among the three of you. And I'll just start by saying this podcast grew out of a book that I wrote in 2021 called How the Arts Can Save Education. And it's about the ways in which arts practices should change the way we do teaching and learning across the board. So it's not just about the ways in which we can be good teachers of the arts, but actually about how the way expert arts educators create communities, create classroom spaces, create opportunities, engage in culturally responsive learning, all of the things that we know are frankly just good teaching, but are so present with outstanding arts educators. So that's what the book is about. And one of the principles in the book is about how art making requires an ecology. It isn't just about the math teacher and the students of mathematics, right? Making art, particularly performing art, requires this ecology of human beings to support the kinds of collaborative practices, but also the kinds of mentorship that you're describing, but also to educate others about the power of the arts. And I hear so much in all of you about the powerful ecology that exists, not just in the school that you worked at and that you two went to, but in the church communities where the choirs got built, in the fact that you reference by name other arts educators in Baltimore, both in formal and informal learning contexts, who inform your pedagogy. And this, to me, is an incredibly unique feature of the Baltimore arts education collective. And I'll just say that one of the other inspirations for this podcast, our very first episode, was with my elementary school music teacher, who was also elementary school music teacher to the great Lin-Manuel Miranda, as well as Bobby Lopez, writer of Frozen, among other things. And that podcast focuses a lot on how Barbara Ames, which is her name, shaped us as individuals, which is a powerful story and incredibly self-contained, right? It's like this school, this teacher, these kids, and what I hear in this collective story is such an incredible ecology of support across spaces and across generations, and across different ways of knowing, that strikes me as part of what contributed to your success, Jonathan, and your success, Adena, but also what's made, the fact that you're still doing what you're doing this many years later, there's no way you were doing this alone, or you would crumble under the weight of that for yourself. And so I just wanted to reflect that and hearing that in your work. And I don't know, wondering if you all have any thoughts about that, about the power of this kind of ecology of arts learning that existed in your lives as young teachers and young artists, and now also as adults.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that reflection, and I think you're spot on, Erica. There is this almost continuum of opportunities, experiences in little Baltimore, Maryland, that does feel unique. I mean, I've been really fortunate to live in cities across the country, and it is unique. I think of Subbrook, I think of Cardinal Sheehan, I think of some of the elementary middle schools that are raising these artists. And then we do have Carver School for the Arts, which is in Towson. And then downtown Baltimore is Baltimore School for the Arts. And I love to flex and say, I went to the same high school as Jada Pinkett and Tupac. I went to the same, that I have friends who are on Broadway. I have friends who are working in regional theaters. I have friends who are on films and TVs. My friends got Law and Order creds. Like, I watch Jonathan on Harlem just like whenever I feel like it, because he's great, and often also working in regional theaters. So almost get weepy. I can't tell you how many times I show up to a meet and greet, because it's my job to go to meet and greets for shows, and I'm welcoming in artists who are alumni from Baltimore School for the Arts, and then I'm like, let's go grab coffee. Let's connect. Let's talk. Let's collaborate. Let's work. It is almost every other show-ish, somebody is coming out of Baltimore. They were raised in Baltimore. And so I do think that there's between BSA, Center Stage, Everyman, Peabody, there is this interesting Arena Players, which Jonathan and I both were a part of. There is an interesting kind of ecology that seeks to really invest in the youth and local talent. We're not New York. So we invest in ourselves. It's a gritty town. It's gritty. And so we don't always have the big names coming in. So we got to create our own. And I think that is unique to our city.
Mm-hmm. I think there's something about the grittiness of Baltimore, I think, that makes people work hard and strive to do something great and, make the city proud and make the name of Baltimore an acclaimed place, which I think we've done a great job doing that. And it's generational. Absolutely. Yes. Because like you said, Miss Hardison's mother was known and renowned in the city. Yes. Then Miss Hardison became renowned, and then, our generation. So it gets passed down, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm very proud to say I'm from Baltimore always.
Hey.
Yes. And, what I think is also, and when you go outside and you're speaking to others, what's interesting to me is a lot of our learning came from right in the classroom. We didn't go out and spend thousands of dollars to get coached.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until you get there and they love you, and then next you're like, oh, now I'm going to go on and take some coaching. Mm-hmm. So I find that very just interesting. If you talk to a lot of Baltimoreans because people always say Baltimore has a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, and they say Baltimore is the hardest city to perform for, because you can't give them the flim flam.
Right.
Because your aunt, your uncle can sing just as great as the person that's up there on the stage.
Right.
You know, you can go to a middle school performance, and after that you go to somewhere where you're spending money. You're like, this is not even worth it, because I had a better experience sitting in, you know, in
the gymnasium,
or sitting in going to the youth theater at the Arena Players for the summer show, and it was half of the money, half.
You know what? What you're saying is so real, because so many people now, me as a professional artist, ask, oh, when did you start training? When did you first take dance class? Like, oh, we started in 4th grade in ballet class, or 5 years old, you know, and I'm like, I did not take formal dance class until I went to college. Well, or my senior year of high school, really. But it was at the Arena Players Theater where the dance choreographer for the shows would just teach us how to do plie, like, just because they wanted us to learn. It was not a formal class, but because we had to dance in the show, they said, well, before we start rehearsal, we're going to do a little class, and we're going to teach you some ballet technique here. It was very scrappy. It was not like we're in this structured, you know, ballet class. Every Wednesday we're going and they taught what they knew to us, and they inspired us to be great in whatever we could do. And I'm just like, it's amazing that I honestly am dancing the way I am, but it's because of those type of teachers who were just willing to pass along information.
Yes.
There's the fancy pedagogical term for that is just-in-time learning, which is a way to describe how, right, the skills that we need often they don't stick if they're not embedded in their actual use, right? And that is so present in the arts, but it's also, frankly, ought to be present in all learning. Again, right? Like, that's how we should learn math too, right? Why are we learning equations without understanding what they're necessary for in order to make sense of the world, right? And so that's, for me, is like an amazing example of how arts practices demonstrate the way good teaching and learning should be for everyone in all spaces.
That's right.
And I love hearing those things sort of come out naturally, right, through your own reflections on the ways in which you all work in community together.
Yes.
The other reflection that I wanted to share with you all is the middle schoolness of this all.
Yes.
Because in my experiences, most people who talk about the impact of arts education in their lives either talk about their elementary school teacher, right? They talk about, when I first went to school, or they talk about their high school teacher, right? They talk about, I have a fabulous interview with your production stage manager, Jonathan Cody Renard Richard, and his high school teacher who brought him into the amazing world of stage management. And, you know, Cody is probably the finest production stage manager on Broadway right now. But middle school is a little bit of a sinkhole for a lot of people. And I'm fascinated by and inspired by, Kenyatta, your, and I don't know if this was intentional, but your focus on the middle schooler, who is often a person in transition and therefore often a person who can lose their way, right? Who loses the confidence that they maybe had as a 7-year-old and doesn't yet have the presence of self that you have as a 16 or 17-year-old. So I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about the middle schoolness of this all, and whether that was a choice for you or whether that just sort of happened, and sort of how you think about that developmental. I know you ran screaming from psychology, but I'm going to force it back in a little bit to the conversation. But like how that aspect of your work has kind of shaped who you are as an educator, and kind of the way you think about that.
Well, as I was saying in the beginning, because you asked me a question and I went all the way back to middle school. and now while I'm talking, I'm like, that's not the question she really asked. But
that's all right.
That part, I think, because in middle school, I was able to place. I just wanted to be great at something.
Mm.
I wanted that, and I think that I put in the work. I use my, I use the knowledge that I have. So when I deal with all my middle schoolers, just like little Kenyatta, something might come out of this. You just have to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me. I'm gonna try to guide you through. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I didn't have, there's always one or two. I really didn't have a whole lot, but there was a couple who kind of fought it. But when I would meet them later on, or like I'll see them out, it is interesting. Some of the ones who would give me the just too much, they would end up being in the music industry, and they were like, "Miss Hardison, I want to thank you." And I'm like, I'm kind of confused because now I'm ready to say, "Well, what are you doing?" Like, and then they share with me, and a lot of them, there are some who fought against because they didn't think, they saw the relationship I had with some of the kids, and to them they wanted that. I love teaching middle school. When we would go in the teachers lounge, and they'll be like, "Oh, this student, blah blah blah," and I was like, "But tomorrow they could be different.
Mm-hmm.
You never know." And a lot of times it's just they just need to find their niche, what they're good at. So I've been that way all the time. People ask me, they were like, "What is it that you do? How do you get all of them in one room?" Like, I'll take 4 or 5 grades. Let's all go in one room and let's work. And other teachers will be like, "No way in the world." And middle schoolers, are you crazy?
I can remember some of those rehearsals, whether they were choir rehearsals or play rehearsals, being in the gym, and it would be hot. And it was like 100 of us. Erica, it was great. I don't know how she stayed calm in those moments, because I'm in those spaces. No, that's true. Sometimes she didn't stay calm. But I mean, I'm in those spaces today, and I'm like, how? I really do try to like channel your spirit, because she just has so much grace. She just understood us, she let us be silly, she let us be loud, and then we would get it out, and then she's like, "Okay, now let's focus."
Yeah, I need to get it together.
I think middle school is an interesting time. I think I'm not a scientist, but there's data that talks about like the neuroplasticity of the brain, and how those kids are kind of rewiring themselves, and it's a time when, even though they act like they're completely disconnected, they're actually primed to learn. And so having a teacher who leans in when it appears they're leaning away, that's what Miss Hardison represents. It's the teacher that's like, "No, I see something in you, and we're going to bring this thing out." To go back to my mom is an educator. She had no idea what to do with me. She was like, "This child is weird and creative, and I don't know how to speak to her." And I was blessed with a teacher that did. I remember in the 8th grade getting a little tired, and it was a solo that she wanted me to sing. Miss Hardison wanted me to sing the solo, and I was like, "I don't want to." And she was so upset with me. She was like, "Listen," because again, she's like, "Take space." She was, before we got the language that we have today, she was that person. It's like, "No, you don't get to sit back. You are talented. Step into it. Step into it. If I'm looking for somebody to sing a song, whether I choose you or not, you better audition." She has had that kind of push. It was a constant push into your destiny, constant push. Sometimes she was dragging us into it, and until we had our own feet to be able to stand and walk into it ourselves. And I'm just so grateful for that. In that those 3 years of a mess. I mean, I have a middle schooler at home. I have a 7th grader at home, and I'm like, he is a disaster. And she just was steady. She was steady, and she loved us, and she pulled us kind of through that that season of transition.
Yeah. Well, now listen. I will take a chair and be like, listen, I need y'all to pay attention.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And because you know what, I also found out that even though they fight against it, middle school they love structure.
They do.
Even if they want to try to steal and get away and do whatever they want to do, they respect structure. Because if you ever go and talk to them, that's why because I'll tell my teachers now, listen to them talk. The first thing they'll let you know, oh, that teacher don't care. That teacher let us do whatever we want, you know. And then they'll start talking about we don't even learn anything in there. So I'm like, okay, well, you got to do what you didn't want. Well, okay, yeah, but they're not supposed to let us do that. You know? So
they know.
The trick with creative practice is to make it look like people can do whatever they want while providing the rule structures for people to make those choices, right? I mean, I've taught improv over the years as part of my creative practice, and people come in terrified, right? Because they think improv is like, you're making everything up. And I'm like, oh, no, you're not.
Right.
My job is to make you think you're making everything up while giving you the tools to be able to make those choices. And that, that this resonates very similarly. It sounds like, Kenyatta, with the way that you come into these spaces with 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds, God bless you.
And she was doing all of this alone too. She was choreographing it and directing it and music directing and playing the piano. Like she was doing it by herself. It wasn't like a team of all these different arts teachers doing it. It's incredible.
Yes. And then ran summer camp. So it wasn't like she took time off, right? So Jonathan's right. She was her whole crew. I don't think we had wardrobe. She was doing everything and then was with us over the summer.
And at the same time doing the Harambe Choir, which I was also on and traveling. I mean, it was so much she was doing. I don't know how. It's really incredible. You're right. And I was in all of it. Like Adena said, I follow wherever she go, I'm doing it. And when you took us to see Les Mis on Broadway, that was the first Broadway show I ever saw in 8th grade. She would take the 8th graders to a Broadway show every year, and I was looking forward to that. When I get in 8th grade, I can't wait to see what we see. We went to see Les Mis, and the show I'm in right now is in the same theater as
the theater.
And that's something.
Yes, and it's on the wall, Les Mis, and I was like, this is where I saw Les Mis. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a full circle moment.
Wow.
Yes, and you showed us Cats, the movie, the VHS. I never seen Cats until she showed us Cats in music class, and I was obsessed, and I watched it every day. And now here I am in Cats again for the second time. I've done Cats a lot of times. This is, so it's so many connective moments in that way. From middle school.
It's amazing how things, because even when they talk about, I had to do everything, because I'm really a shy person. I don't really know how to ask people for help or can you come? So I just do it myself. So I took all those, when I think of in my life, all those classes, that's how I just taught the musical. I just I'll use this piece to teach this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to, and so that's why it always was almost like a one-woman show, except for when Miss Burke would do the costumes.
Yes.
That's
Miss Burke. Yes. Oh my goodness. Haven't heard that name in ages.
Oh my gosh.
She passed away, but yes.
Wow.
That she was truly a blessing too.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Kenyatta, what does your teaching life look like today? Can you tell us about kind of where you are now as a seasoned arts educator? I know when you started with these folks, you were a young person, and it's been some time. Yeah. So, what does your life look like now?
And everything. You know what? It's so funny when I tell my kids my age, they are like, "What?" I still do the same. I have just elementary now. I miss that middle school. I actually teach at a school right up the street from where I used to. All money. And I have a beautiful, beautiful classroom. It's very interesting. I know when I first started, I'm like, something is missing. And then I realized because you're at an elementary school.
Mm.
So, the middle school voice is a little bit, it's a little bit more mature, a little bit more mature. But they singing. I know it's so funny. I put in AI doing unhinged about myself in that chat GBT, and it says you can take any type of group and make them sing, and they become as a force. I was like, wow, how did they know that? Up to just like the gap between your teeth is your character is special, and you do the same thing with your kids. I was like, wow, that's deep. But I don't get to do. I only do my productions in Yadas. Yadas, I do have. I have pre-K through high school.
Oh,
yeah. So,
and that's an out of school time.
Well, it's just doing. I only do it during the summer now. I don't do it after school because, again, I mean, that was just a blessing to be in a school where they allow you to do after school, like almost having your own business during the school. It's a little bit different when you get into Baltimore City. So, so I do choir after school, and just once a week, and then I do Yadas for 6 weeks during the summer. I think in being a parent, because I wasn't a parent in with you all, I wasn't a parent.
No.
Right.
So they had all of it.
Yes, we were her kids.
We were the children.
We were the kids.
Yes.
I've heard that story before for sure with young arts educators.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I became, So, but I think, I still hear the same thing from parents or from my principal. They still use the same adjectives to describe what I do in the program. So I think that's a blessing. And as long as I feel like, God, they said that you're a great teacher when kids end up doing the things that you do. So like here, this is letting me know I did right. Yeah.
That is the perfect lead into my last question. How did you know you are also doing something right by me? My last question, Jonathan and Adena, I was hoping each of you could say something in your current work that you've taken from Kenyatta. So when you do X, that is because you were influenced by her.
Oh my
I'll give you
goodness.
30 seconds to think it over. I know, and there's probably a million, but I know.
Well, I can start.
Go, Jay.
I touched upon it briefly. I literally would not be an artist I truly believe today if you had not introduced me to the arts in the way that you did in 6th grade. I probably would not be obsessed with Cats the musical if you had not shown it to me. Then I would not have been in the tour of Cats immediately after graduating college, and now on Broadway in Cats. It has been a through line of my life. So every day that I do Cats, the Jellicle Ball on Broadway, I think of you, and I honor you, and I thank you through everything I'm doing on stage. And I think when I take up space on stage as my character Mungojerrie, I think of the lessons you taught me about taking up space as an artist and being confident in your abilities. And that is a large part of the character I've crafted with Mungojerrie. And that is all thanks to those foundational moments in 6th grade at Cardinal Sheehan that you gave me. So I thank you beyond.
Oh gosh, I can't get me all like this. I got these children gonna be coming in. They're like, "What's wrong, Miss Hardison? You said we coming in."
It really.
Yeah, but it's true.
I can't really follow that up, Jonathan, because I feel the same way every day. I'm graced to be able to do the work that I do. I think there's two things that come up for me in particular. Is in the imagery is when I'm leading some type of warm up or some type of like community building moment, and I just did it recently. I'm not even going to tell you the long story, but it was my daughter. strangely enough, my daughter is about to graduate from high school. And I have walked with her throughout her artistic journey. She's going to USC. She's going to be majoring in musical theater. And I've walked with her. I know, she's one of us. And I've been stage mom since 2 years old in her first dance class. And I had the opportunity to be stage mom for the last time a couple weeks ago for her spring musical. And interestingly enough, when I'm there, when she needs me, she knows I'm there, but I've been a support to her drama teacher. And what the moments that I have held on to and really make me think of you is when I'm standing in those moments, because her drama teacher will always say, Adena, can you lead the warm-ups? I'm not good at that. That's the one thing I'm not good at, bringing everybody together. You had the ability to bring us all together. And when I'm standing in the middle of those circles and I've got all of these young people from age 11 up to 18 who are nervous and anxious and excited and scared and not feeling like they've prepared enough and their voice is tired because they've been in tech all week and they haven't slept and they're stressed. You used to have this ability to settle us and anchor us. And I try my best to embody that same thing. And when I was with them just the other day, preparing them pre-show, I had this moment of breath work, right? Stretching, and then the game, and just bringing them all together in that sense of you can do this, reminding them that they are enough, that they are equipped, that they are prepared, and just bringing down the anxiety and increasing the anticipation. Those are one of the moments where I channel you, your energy, your grace, also your just clarity and your vision. And then I would say, but that's like personally. And then professionally, I think every time I'm in a classroom with those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, every time I'm in a middle school classroom, if I have the opportunity to lead a choir, I'm always thinking about you. If I had the opportunity to lead a youth choir for our production of A Christmas Carol when I was at St. Louis Rep, and it was like, I am Miss Hardison. Like it was really like, oh my gosh. Like even the way you would be pointing and like singing, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I am her. You don't even realize. Yes. I'm like singing and swinging and it was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. And the kids are just like you said, I think when they feel invested in, they invest in their own process. And those are the moments when I see you in me and I see me in you. And I'm just grateful for this journey because I don't think I would be here. I actually know I wouldn't be here because I didn't have it in my home and the Baltimore City public school system didn't have it. And so it was a gift to be at Cardinal Sheehan with you and for you to show me the way.
It was a great ride. It was a great journey. And like I always say, the kids don't realize how much they impact our lives as teachers. To be able to walk out and feel happy and feel like, okay, I've done something, there's many teachers who walk out and they feel defeated. It's not coming together. There are groups, and especially with you all, but I walk out or I'll go back and look like, wow, I was really blessed, and I'm glad that God chose us to be in line with each other because that was part of the plan,
Yes.
And look at you all, so I feel good.
Well,
now you give me more energy. These little kindergartners gonna get some work today.
Yes. Well, Jonathan Burke, Adena Varner, Kenyatta Hardison, thank you all so much for sharing your stories with me. I can't wait for the sons and daughters of places outside of Baltimore to hear about this community, to hear about the work that you do, and to be able to take some of these lessons into their own spaces. It's really a blessing to be able to do this work which allows me to make space for these stories. So thank you all for sharing your time and space with me today.
And thank you.
Thank you, Erica.
Yes.
I hope that you all could feel the love coming through your ear holes in the way I was able to see the interactions between these three folks. As regular listeners know, tears are quite normal when artists and mentors see each other for the first time in a long time. It is rare that those artists are themselves lifelong besties and that those lifelong besties have the same mentor who they can share that experience with. It was such an honor, and I'm speaking for Doug, who will soon speak for himself, but I think he would agree with me that it was an honor to be able to bear witness to that and for the two of us to be proverbial flies on the wall for the three of them to have that reunion and have that conversation.
Totally. It's lovely to see that. I have a couple friends that I've known since, the elementary or middle school days, and we're still really close, but whenever we actually get to hang out, it's powerful. It's really powerful.
We've had the discussion, just a fun fact for listeners, given that the podcast medium has moved toward video, a pressure of whether we should be a video-based format. And I am a stickler. I love the audio format. I think the artistry here is about translating exciting and difficult conversations into this audio medium. However, I also love that we get the privilege of seeing those things happen among these people. And because the specialness, like you said, of those folks being in the same virtual room together is part of the magic of making this work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little selfish. We get to straddle, because there's the form of podcasting that is audio is one form. The form of podcasting that is video is a different form. We get to straddle and play the line. A little selfish maybe, but it's lovely.
Too bad, everybody.
Listening to them talk about ecology, I've heard you also talk about the ecology in Wisconsin. This is just an opinion-based question.
Okay.
Not a fact-based question, but what are three places, not Baltimore, not Wisconsin, that you find a similar sort of ecology that really thrives on participation from everyone in that unit?
Yes. I have a lot of answers to this, but I've done some research in this area. And so I will give you three. Oakland, California.
One thing.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Craftsman Guild, right?
Among others.
Two things.
And Chicago, Illinois.
Hell yeah. That's me. Three things.
Those are my three things. I'm happy to link to everyone an academic paper I've written on this topic, which will list many more places. Those are my top three, but feel free to check out, maybe we'll put a link on the website.
Happy to.
To these academic papers, which leads me to my question, Doug. What if people are like, oh my God, I love this show so much. I can't wait to get myself some more Arts Educators Save the World. What are three ways that people can connect with us and stay involved with us and our ideas?
I have three great things. One would be like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. That's gotta happen.
One.
Yeah. Two, we have a website and you are welcome to visit it. It's artseducatorspodcast.com. You can even submit ideas for guests there.
What? Two?
And if websites are scary, you can just send us an email. artseducatorspodcast@gmail.com. artseducatorspodcast@gmail.com, and we will read it.
Three things. Onward together, everybody.
Arts Educators Save the World is hosted by Erica Rosenfeld Halverson and produced and co-hosted by me, Alec Lev. Our executive producer is Doug Matica, and our audio producer is Justin Asher. Special thanks to our collaborators, the brilliant and talented Kate Baldwin, and our great friends at Story Pirate Studios, Lee Overtree, Benjamin Salka, and Amy Fiore. Original music is by Dan Lipton, and our artwork is by Lyra Evans. Check out our website designed by Cole Locasio at www.artseducatorspodcast.com. We're on Instagram at ArtsEducatorsPodcast, and you can write to us with your questions and comments at contact@artseducatorspodcast.com. You can also find us at a place called YouTube. And wherever you're listening, please remember to subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps the show. We're proud to be sponsored in part by the University of Wisconsin-Madison and the Gibb Faculty Fellowship. Arts Educators Save the World was created by Erica Rosenfeld Halverson and Alec Lev.